Your next vehicle from Community Motors of Mason City.
Great service from 3 locations: Community on Monroe, Community Motors Westside, and Mason City Ford. 10 new franchises and hundreds of vehicles to give you more choices. Plus, Community offers an exclusive 3-3 warranty on pre-owned vehicles and 10-year, 250,000-mile warranty on new. Need more reasons why? Stop or visit CommunityAutoGroup.com.
Because nobody beats a community deal.
Our first and only item of business is a discussion with the Human Rights and City Council. It's be interesting to see how to proceed here. Last Friday I called everyone and kind of got a compilation of what everyone wanted. We made the requests. We have what we have here. Sounds like Human Rights has a presentation to present. Are you guys interested in the presentation, or did you guys read through all of it, or I'm letting you guys decide here?
I read as much as I could, but I'd be interested in this presentation.
Yeah, right. So go ahead and make the presentation.
Okay.
Can 2 fact finders close a case, or does it take the whole commission to close a case?
Fact finders and the internal administrative law judge put together the decision or the probable that it will go on to be written as a decision for probable or as discrimination or none. The full commission does not do that. We are the only commission in the state of Iowa who has volunteer commissioners who are fact finders. Every other commission in the state of Iowa has paid staff who conducts all the fact findings, who does all the decisions, and from there, their commission meets once a month, and the staff says, okay, we had this case, number such and such, because no names can be shared. This is what we did with it, so we had this many that we closed this way, and this many. We are the only commission in the state of Iowa that has commissioners who actually do fact findings. We can only go by what they have provided to us to give an answer, or to go probable or no probable. So if they're not going to cooperate by giving us the information that may save them, they've done it to themselves. So we have to go with what's presented to us, which may go in their favor and may not. Okay, most respondents are going to have an attorney, and many times we do see that the attorneys will attack the integrity and credibility of the commission, and that's why if there is a possibility that people either side, recusing yourself is the best way to go, so that that doesn't become an issue.
I've been on council 7 years, and that's the most thorough explanation I've ever had of how the whole process works. I wish I would have had that education 6 or 7 years ago, so thank you for that. I have a question that's much more general in scope, and I don't expect us to be able to answer it today. What I'm hoping, or my desired outcome of this whole process, that we could establish dialogue and have additional ongoing conversations and work together. Did you all get a copy of the memo that Brent Trout issued dated November 6th regarding a list of questions for the work session tonight? Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff on there, and I presume that most of that came from my colleagues. The 2 questions that are in that memo that came from me are the last 2, and they are: what would the departmental budget look like if the commission's role was limited to housing related issues, and if employment related issues were deleted from the scope, i.e. those go to Des Moines, would the receipt of state and federal grants be at risk to the extent that the commission's role would be limited to housing? And I don't expect us to, obviously I don't expect budgetary answers tonight, but I wanted to explain why those questions are of importance to me.
Sure.
And that is not to say that I think across the board that we should get rid of employment-related issues as a role of the commission. I don't have information on which I could possibly base that. I do believe, without exception, that we need a Mason City Human Rights Commission. And I agree without condition that we need to take care of housing-related issues. So my question is based solely on employment-related issues. And what I'm interested in, and this isn't something that I'm thinking of in terms of making a significant budgetary or scope of services change, even in the next budget cycle. My hope would be that we could have some of these numbers, my hope would be middle of December. I don't know if that's practical or not. It would be nice if we could have some of those numbers as we go into the next budget cycle, but before I would ever support a change in scope of services, it's something that we'd have to work with on the commission together, and it would have to be planned over time. And planned over a reasonable amount of time to where work that's in the queue can be cleared out without damaging the work that's in the queue, which means it may take anywhere from 12 to 24 or 36 months to make a change, if we were so inclined to make a change. And I haven't reached that conclusion, because like I said, I don't have information. Here's one of the reasons that I feel this is an area that we should be looking at. I'm very concerned over the next 5 years on impacts that I believe that whatever council we have is going to see in the local budget. We know that just in the last legislative session, our legislators were looking hard at how we do commercial property taxes. And that has the potential of negatively impacting our revenue stream by $200,000 a year. I think we also know, I'm sorry?
Cumulative, 200,000.
Yeah, every year, right.
So it goes to 400 to 600 to 800 to $1 million.
Oh, okay, that I didn't understand, so it's even worse. Okay. I think we would all also agree that unless our Congress gets together in the next 6 weeks, every citizen in Mason City is going to see a tax increase with their first paycheck come January. Because of expiring tax breaks, we're going to have more taxes taken out of our paycheck, and every one of us is going to feel that, and that is the net impact of a tax increase. That's going to hurt the people of Mason City. So I'm not saying that the scope of services in the Human Rights Department needs to be a target, but I think as a council, we're going to be looking at every opportunity so that if down the road we have to look at cutting services because we're in a position that we cannot raise taxes, we need to have a laundry list of potentials. We need to know what the potential cut could or would be, and we also need to be able to assess the impact of that cut on the people of Mason City. And that's the information that we're going to need as a council to be able to make value-added decisions. So it's not punitive in any way, shape, or form, and I'm thinking more long-term than short-term.
Okay. From the questions that were asked and your questions, I did have some answers that we put together. The Human Rights Code covers housing, employment, public accommodation, credit, and education discrimination. And based on that Harris decision that you have the information on, the commission would have to investigate, would still have to investigate both housing and employment discrimination complaints. However, subtracting staff salary and benefits from the city's portion of that budget, there's approximately $6,646 left to investigate both housing and employment discrimination cases.
Okay, I'm going to need that information in a memo type form because I can't retain the way that was just communicated to me. But I question this. Let's back up, thinking back to conversations we had a couple of years ago. How many communities in the state of Mason City have human rights commissions or efforts internal to their organization that investigate employment-related issues?
That would be our 24, correct?
Okay, so what does every other community do? They go to Des Moines. So why are we falling back by default on the first slide that Mason City has to investigate employment-related issues or face a lawsuit? If we make a conscious decision as a community that we're going to be one of the other 300 communities in the state that let those cases go to Des Moines, why would we be in a position of getting sued?
Also, because we already have a commission in place, One of the things, some of the things that came up, do businesses in Mason City really want to be investigated by somebody in Des Moines who doesn't know them?
Okay.
That's
Now,
one.
no, hold on a second. What I don't want to do is make this combative.
No, and it's not.
And I drop back and I say, we can't solve this tonight.
Exactly.
So the starting point is getting good budget information so that we can understand the financial impact, because that's what we're primarily concerned with. And then once we understand the financial impact, then we need to come back together as a group with numbers on the table and talk about the pros and cons. But am I understanding you to say that because we have a commission that investigates employment-related issues, we don't have the authority to change that?
I didn't say that. Lionel, would you like to do some clarification on
Yeah,
that?
let me address that. The operating expenses that we get are generally from the federal government, from EOC or from HUD. And so the $6,000 that's out in our general budget for the city gives us, that's for office supplies and all those other sorts of things. The money that it takes for us to process a complaint, to litigate a complaint if it goes into public hearing, that sort of thing, that comes from the federal side. So any change in what we do as far as employment or housing is going to jeopardize those federal contracts, and we can't get them. They'll take them away from us.
And that's great, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking for in some type of a report. I want to see where all the money comes from.
Sounds great.
And how it all adds up,
Okay.
and if we make changes, and which of it's designated for housing, which of it's designated for employment-related issues. So we got two columns with numbers adding up, and if we made a change in scope of services in either column, what does that do to those monies in either column?
Sounds great.
That's what I've never understood, and that's what I desperately would like to understand.
Okay.
Well, we now
And until we have that, there's really no point in talking about the pros and cons.
Yes. And, the pros and cons, they were just questions to kind of throw out to go, to provide you with, something to think about. And we truly, as a commission, want to engage with the council on a regular basis, because we're here to help everybody. And, we just want to interact with the council and be a valuable part of the city.
I think that's what we all want too. We want to work together collaboratively. But we'll have to understand, we'll need a deeper level of understanding to be able to make value-added decisions in the realm that we need to make decisions in.
And with the changes, with the new reporting, and Kevin's he's not here today, but, he is put together so that we can see, as commission members, money from the city, money from our housing grant, and money from our EEOC grant. We get that information on a regular basis so we can see where we are with our budgets, and that information will be available to you as well.
I know that's what I'm looking for, and I think that's what my colleagues would appreciate as well. I don't mean to speak for anybody. Is it a reasonable time frame? And I know there's a lot going on this time of year. We're getting ready to head back into another budget cycle. Is mid to late December reasonable for that, or is more time needed?
If you want us to contact the other 23 agencies, I hope you're saying no. Because,
no.
Okay, all right.
Because that was one of the questions I'm going, we don't have time.
Yeah.
I'm strictly looking for that financial information specific to Mason City.
We'll get it to you by mid-December.
Okay.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if something comes up and you can't make it,
No,
just let us know.
we'll get it to you by mid-December. But see, the last time we did a statewide survey, it took us 5 months to get the information from the other agencies, and some never responded.
To me, there's no value added to that. It's a waste of your time. There's a lot better things you could be doing.
Thank you.
Now, in years past, when you were on the council before, Jean, even when you were the mayor, we did the budget process, and we did a PowerPoint to show, and you remember all of the different departments, at budget time we presented a PowerPoint presentation that showed what we'd done that year, where our finances were, everything along those lines. and we're not doing that anymore. I would really like to see us try and put that back in place so that you have a better understanding of each department and what they're doing. Because just going and sitting there and watching those things myself as just a citizen of the city, I learned a lot about the different departments and what they do. And I think that is a value. You know, and there were special budget meetings that, you know, all those presentations were there, and they're very helpful. So if at all, if you have any input, I would encourage you to look at that as an option to put those back in place so that you have not just from us, but you have from the others as well. And it gives everybody else an opportunity to, you know, oh, they are working together. Oh, look at this. Everybody's working together, and that's all we want to do. So in a positive manner. Anything else that you have for us this evening?
Thank you.
You have staff information. You've got all of the commission members and information. So if you have specific questions, you know, feel free to contact me, contact staff. We'll go ahead and get those things answered and go from there.
Yep.
So
Well, thank you.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all of your service. We appreciate it very much.
The limited English proficiency report that's in your packet, I'd like to get together with you sometime soon and give you a presentation on that. It's talking about Title VI. The city administrator asked me to do Title VI information. You folks passed I think a resolution, was it? This is the requirement in Title VI that we do that study, and we were able to secure a federal grant to do the study. So now that if we want you to adopt it, so now that some Fed comes in and says, where is your stuff? The city administrator has it, and it's already passed. But whenever you get a chance, Mayor, you can set it up and we'll do that.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for all your service. We appreciate the time this evening.